Did you miss us? After a week hiatus, we're back with another episode of The Extra Point with, once again, lots of stuff to talk about. And it all starts right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Extra Point. I'm your host, Griffin Barfield. I'm back at the panelist desk. I have two panelists with me, RJ Polite and Toby Corson. Guys, welcome back to the show. And why don't we just get right back into it? So the biggest thing we missed, we weren't recording last week, was obviously the whole result of the Super Bowl, which once again, the Chiefs won their back-to-back. They defeated the 49ers in overtime for their third Super Bowl in 5 years. So guys, what were your takeaways from this game? Let's start off.
Yeah, it was scripted. I feel like it was scripted. They had this plan because it just was a walk-off touchdown. And, yeah, not surprised that Patrick Mahomes won another Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, if it were to be scripted, it would have been scripted that way. I don't know if the dominoes just fell right for the NFL if it was scripted, but it definitely worked out in the viewership's favor.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of fan you were, I would have to agree with all that. Maybe it's not on the scripting part, but I could see what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Getting Taylor Swift however much screen time as you can. I remember seeing something on YouTube. It was Taylor Swift highlights on the NFL's YouTube channel.
Oh, jeez.
But and he was, once again, it's Patrick Mahomes' third Super Bowl. He's only 27 years old. He a top 10 quarterback of all time yet? Is he anything around that?
Yeah, he's top 10.
He's top 10 for sure.
I learned how to control number 15, though. So.
Yeah, I think we all have to look at the comparison between him and Tom Brady. They're both at very similar stage, or he's at a very similar stage to what Tom Brady was at this point in his career, and then Tom Brady went on a 10-year gap without winning one. So I think this might have been the tail end of at least their first span of winning some. I think their team's going downhill a little bit, and I think they're going to go through a little bit of a rebuilding phase. I don't think it's going to be like a true rebuild where they're awful, but I don't see them having the dominance they've had in the last 5 years, in the next 5 years at least.
Yeah, totally agree, 100%. The Raiders coming for them.
That whole division's looking good now. You got the Raiders, Antonio Pierce, personally. I love him as a coach. The Chargers, they just hired Jim Harbaugh, which is always, a good hire for, no matter what school or team you have. And then the Broncos, too, they're always on the come up. I think that they were a game or two off of the wild card as well.
Yeah, they got Sean Payton as head coach.
Sean Payton. So that's going to be a good one. That's going to be a good good division to watch for years to come. And of course, we'll see with free agency, which we'll get to in a little bit, what kind of goes on around that. Another thing we missed was the Milwaukee Bucks fired their head coach, Adrian Griffin, and they hired Doc Rivers, ex-Philly, LA Clippers, Boston Celtics head coach. And ever since he took over for the Bucks, he's 3-7 in his coaching tenure there so far. Is there any thoughts behind that so far for, Milwaukee's new guy?
I think it's just weird. I think we all think it's weird. Even Doc Rivers thought it was weird. He said, and I quote, "Personally, to be honest, I don't understand why you're doing this to the Bucks management." Mm-hmm. So it was just, it's a weird situation, and then he took over in their hardest stretch of games of the season. So I think you have to take the 3-7 record with a grain of salt and give him a little bit more time. But it just seemed like a weird situation overall of what was going on in that front office of Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm. They was doing good at the beginning before Doc Rivers. I just felt like for them to do that, I wasn't kind of surprised, but with the record, I'm not surprised by the record because it's Doc Rivers. But yeah, because he was from the 76ers, so yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprised, but hopefully they get better.
Yeah, I'm sure with the All-Star break will help them too, because if you're just thrown to the Wolves in the middle of the season, but you have superstars of Dame Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo. If Chris Middleton's healthy, of course he's a incredible asset for them. But I'm sure the Bucks will turn it around. Doc Rivers always knows how to take a team to the
Forgot their
playoffs.
other superstar, Giannis. Can't
Dances.
forget that guy.
Apparently there was like a rumor that like the old head coach wasn't playing Francis enough, and Giannis wanted him gone because he didn't like him. I don't know if that's true.
I have no idea, but
I don't know. I would be.
he's a weird storyline, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, we're kind of gonna stick on the basketball route now that football is kind of done. We'll get to NFL in a little bit, but we're kind of entering the season of March and the whole college basketball, March Madness, NCAA tournament, the conference tournaments. And it's honestly, if you watch any of these games over the past weekend, even yesterday, Tuesday, there were upsets all across the board. So we're going to start our fill in the blank part of the show. So all it is the best team in college basketball for both men's and women's is blank and blank.
You got it. Purdue. I've been watching Purdue, and they've been doing. I feel like if they keep it up, they'll win the national championship. I feel like. And for women, I got USC for some reason. Even though they got a young team, Dawn Staley's still winning, and I'm just not surprised. I'm just happy about it.
Yeah, I have the same two picks, Purdue and South Carolina. I think 24 hours ago I would have said UConn, but after losing by almost 20 points to Creighton, who's a good team. But 20 points to be the best team in college basketball, you shouldn't ever lose by that much. And it's hard to pass up Purdue with, their style of play. They kind of play differently than everybody else in college basketball. They got a Big Ten style of play, tough, physical. You got Zach Edey. He's probably one of, if not the best player in college basketball. Mm-hmm. Then you got three other guys in the starting lineup that are averaging over 10 points. They just have an all-around complete team. They've been there before. They've been in March Madness. They know how to almost get the job done, and I think this might finally be the year where they can make it all the way.
I mean, I completely agree with South Carolina. They win when it matters. I think their biggest win is LSU at LSU, from what I know.
I mean, they're undefeated.
They're undefeated, and that goes a long way. And as a Clemson student, I think Dawn Staley is an incredible head coach. She's an incredible ambassador for young women. And I like how the whole women's basketball narrative is kind of changing, especially with LSU, South Carolina, UConn as well. But that's my men's pick. I have UConn as my top team. What stands out for me is that there's no top player. Everybody is good. Their bench is good. They're incredibly well coached. I like Dan Hurley as a coach. It's tough to win away from home too. And you saw it with Purdue and Ohio State this past weekend. And UConn got blown out by Creighton. And I think Creighton are a top 10 team at full strength. So I don't see the loss being anything bad for UConn. I really think that they are the best team in the country. I think they have an incredible chance to go back to back. Not sure if I'll take them in my brackets though, but it's really tough. But it might be a little bit too far away.
It's funny you mention how good UConn is just throughout their whole team. South Carolina's that same way. They don't have that main player. I think they have 7 players that average over 9 points a game for them, which is ridiculous. I think their highest average is 13, so they just can destroy you in all parts of the floor and bringing people off their bench to come in and produce the same amount as your starters. You don't see that in college basketball ever.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Teams that are deep like that are always going to win national championships. I mean, UConn last year. I'm thinking Villanova and Dante DiVincenzo.
Yep.
When he had that huge game in the final. Just any team with incredible bench pieces, they're going to go to the league and they're going to play well. We'll have more college basketball coverage coming up in weeks to come because March is just going to be heating up and there's going to be upsets and there's going to be sleeper teams. We'll have a whole March Madness show. I think we did last year as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. But next up, we're going to move back to the NFL because we are almost in the season of free agency. I know franchise tagging is going on right now between teams, so there isn't a full list of free agents yet, but out of all of the unrestricted free agents, the best free agent on the market for the NFL this offseason is blank.
Josh Jacobs. I hope the Raiders re-sign him or work out a friendly deal because still one of the best running backs that's on the market right now. Besides Saquon Barkley, Devin, Singletary. It's a list of them, like a bunch of running backs. Derrick Henry too. So yeah, all the running backs on the market.
It's a loaded class.
DeAndre Swift. It's great. Yeah, he's in free agent running backs, all of them. So
All right.
I want to see how this gonna turn out though. I hope the Raiders resign Jacobs though.
Yeah, the running backs will be an interesting situation just with the market of running backs. How it's not as high, but there's a lot of them out there, and teams definitely need to find running backs still. But I've got Kirk Chainz as the biggest piece on the market. Quarterbacks are always going to be a hot commodity, and it'll be interesting to see if he lands anywhere coming off the torn Achilles. But he's a very, very good quarterback. He's not stellar, but he's going to go in there and he's going to give you a consistent game 90% of the time, and that's what a lot of teams need. I mean, the Jets are hoping that's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but who knows how that's going to pan out. But if you can find a team that just doesn't have that centerpiece quarterback that has a lot of good skill pieces around them, signing Kirk Chainz to a one-year deal would not be the worst idea in the world, I think, if you want to see if the team can actually compete with a solid quarterback.
I mean, I completely agree. Same thing with Josh Jacobs. I think, has the Raiders shifted not last season, that's crazy to think about. When Antonio Pierce became the coach, they kind of just started running their offense through Jacobs a little bit more. I mean, Aiden O'Connell was, I think he did the job you're the Raiders fan, so you might know a little bit more than me, but I think that whole offense did a great job just running it through Jacobs.
Yeah.
I think signing him is huge. Same thing with Kirk Cousins. I think like a team like the Falcons or the Steelers could use him incredibly well. For me, it's going to be Chris Jones, though, from the Chiefs. I mean, they've won 3 Super Bowls in 5 seasons. Chris Jones has been their centerpiece in defense their whole way. And you can even watch this past Super Bowl, just the pressure that whole front 7 led by Chris Jones was able to put on Brock Purdy. And I know that's like a testament to Chris Jones, to the defensive coordinator, Speak Spagnuolo. But I really think that Chris Jones, I think that he does return to the Chiefs, but I think anybody should be looking at him with wide eyes. I think that he's the best defensive player on the market, in my honest opinion.
He's definitely going to get some big offers. I think it's going to be a matter of whether he wants to try and run it back with the Chiefs for a three-peat or not.
Exactly, and my honest opinion. I hope he does. Anywho, we'll move on to the NBA. This past weekend was the NBA All-Star Game, so we had all the festivities in Indianapolis, the Skills Challenge, the Rising Stars Game, 3-point dunk contest, and then the final thing was the All-Star Game this past Sunday. And there was a lot of mixed reviews about it, just because I think it was 200 to 160, a crazy game like that.
The East blow out the West, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of surprising though.
And there was a lot of not controversy, but there was a lot of backlash behind players in the West like Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic because they weren't trying their hardest and they were just shooting threes. So the fill in the blank is the 2024 NBA All-Star Game was blank. In y'all's honest opinion. I mean, I'll start. I'm just gonna write boring. I didn't watch it. I watched highlights, and that's kind of all I really needed. I get it. These players are supposed to have fun, but it's just really not exciting for people to see these players not trying, especially if you're paying this
all that
much.
money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was boring.
It was a shoot around. There's no other way to put it. They're just kind of chucking up shots. It's kind of like every other All-Star game for every other sport. They're just not that interesting because they don't matter anymore and the players don't want to get hurt. It's just tough to market because you can't force the players to play hard. I think the most exciting thing of the weekend was, Sabrina versus Steph?
Yeah.
Which was it was electric. It was a lot of fun seeing the highlights, but it just was a boring weekend, like Griffin said, overall.
Yeah. Same, I agree with both of y'all.
Boring.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty one-dimensional. Just talking about it. I mean, it's frustrating.
200 points. I mean, impressive, but not really. 'Cause if there's no defense,
it wasn't playing for real. If they was playing for real, they would have been close.
It's weird. I think All-Star games are slowly going to go away as time goes on, and it's just going to change to fun skill challenges and stuff.
Yeah, similar to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
I think the only way the NBA kind of gets the All-Star game the intensity back is I heard that I forget if the MLB does it, the winner of the conference gets the home field advantage.
The MLB used to do that.
yeah, the NBA
They
used
were
to
the
too.
last sport to change, I think.
Yeah.
I think teams would riot if they did that because, hey, we have a 10-game better record than these guys, and yet they get home field advantage in the postseason. So like that's where it gets tough. But I do wish they'd do something to make it matter a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Yeah, I think you have to really work that with a grain of salt if you're Adam Silver, if you're the NBA.
Yeah.
We'll see that in years to come, though, for sure. But we'll move on to the NBA pick'ems. We got 4 games that start tomorrow. And we'll start with the Suns and the Mavericks. The Suns will travel to Dallas for one of the first games since coming off the All-Star break. Obviously, you have the Luka Doncic, Devin Booker beef. You have a lot of stuff that whole Game 7 where the Mavericks blew them out. I believe it was like 2 years ago. But yeah, we got the Suns, we got the Mavericks. Who's taking this one?
Oh. I'm going to go with the Suns just because KD, can't sleep on KD and Devin Booker. I'm just going with the Suns.
I'm going with Luka Magic at home. I think he's going to get the job done, especially with all the beef that's been circulating. I'm gonna bet on him to get the win. But really, I think this game might be the closest of the weekend. It's going to flip back and forth. There's going to be some runs, and I think it honestly comes down to who gets the final shot.
I did have Suns, but I just completely forgot that Luka was an absolute fool in the All-Star break, and he's just one of those guys that are just going to turn it on and just prove everybody wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores more than like 40, 45 points. And he kind of owns Devin Booker in terms of games that really matter. It's the first game off the All-Star break, so Kyrie's going to be fully healthy. I mean, I'm excited for this one because you got KD, Booker, Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, and Luka Doncic all on the same court. It should be a really fun game for sure. Later on that night, however, we got a battle out west. We got the Lakers, who had one of the best records in February, I believe. They're traveling to the Bay. They're facing the Warriors, who have had a great stretch of games going into the All-Star break as well. We got the Lakers, we got the Warriors. The last time I think this game went into overtime, which was, I think we covered this game.
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago, a month ago maybe.
Yeah, but fun one. Who takes it? You want the first one, RJ?
Got the Warriors just because it's home field advantage. And I remember when Clay came off the bench and he dropped 35 points, I believe. That was pretty impressive just coming off the bench. And
Yeah, I'm going with the Lakers in this game. I went with the Lakers last time, and LeBron proved me right. I'm going with them again. They've been 5-1 in their last 6 games. They were hot, and the Warriors were too. But they were one of the hottest teams going into the All-Star break. Their only loss was to Denver, who's arguably the best team in the league. I mean, I think they're going to continue rolling, and I think they're going to put up a fight for a high seed in the tournament or in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with both these teams. I think if they're hot, they're hot. They're some of the best teams, and they've both won championships. But for me, I'm just going to go with the home team. I like the Warriors. I think that they're the hotter team. I don't know if LeBron's playing tomorrow night. Even if he's not, I know Anthony Davis is able to carry that team to the best of his ability. But I like what the Warriors are doing. Like you said, Klay Thompson is a little bit more pissed off, so I expect a big game from him. But Steph as well, I think that he's going to ball out. And I like the Warriors in that. Later on this weekend, though, we do have 2 other games. This is my favorite game of the week. We have the Celtics, the best team record-wise in the league. They're traveling to MSG to face the Knicks, who have had a season to remember so far. Celtics Knicks, who takes it?
I got the Celtics just because I remember I saw like an article. Jason Tatum say he was the best person in the NBA, and I was like, yeah. I mean, all the pieces they got around on the roster, I feel like they got a good team. So it's gonna be a good game. Maybe close, but I feel like Celtics gonna pull it out.
Yeah, a bit of a rivalry game. And so with any rivalry game, I'm going to take the home team, the Knicks. The Celtics have quite a bit of a cushion on their lead. And I think that's going to actually play into this game a little bit. They're going to feel a little bit comfortable. They're not going to play as hard as they might need to. And I think the Knicks are going to be fired up. They're going to be feisty. They're going to want to defend their home court. And I think they're going to come out a lot harder than the Celtics in the start of the game. And I think it's just going to push them that little bit extra to get the win. I think the Celtics are by far the better team and will have the better record at the end of the year. but give me the Knicks in Madison Square Garden.
I think this is, and I'll be watching this game. This is my favorite game of the week. I'm going to go with the Celtics, though, to take an away win. I really think it also depends on who the Knicks have, because I know like OG Anunoby's out, Mitchell Robinson's out, Julius Randle has been nursing an injury. So I really think Joe Mazzulla is just going to put all his chips on Jalen Brunson, throw Drew Holiday on him, and just let him go to work because he's the best defensive guard in the league. I think this game could go either way. I'd love to see the Knicks pull this one out because I love seeing, being from the New York area, I love seeing, the Knicks performing well. I'm going to go to the Celtics, though, if you're asking me from an objective point of view. Lastly, to end this quick episode, we got the Kings. They're traveling to Los Angeles to face the best team in the West, the Los Angeles Clippers. So we got the Kings, we got the Clippers. Last game of the episode. Who do you guys like?
Clippers.
Right.
Sweep? You gonna be a sweep or no?
We're almost to a sweep. I'm going with the
Almost?
Clips as well. They're having a sneaky good season. this
Yeah,
year.
like
They're 2 games back from the lead, and they're kind of rolling.
I feel like they
And
went.
Nobody knows about it.
I feel like they went undefeated 1 month. I can't remember. I think it was last
January, maybe?
January. It was January or December. I seen it. They went on like a run where they didn't lose. So I'm like, oh, they doing.
And they're always going to be overshadowed by the Lakers, but
They're doing.
they're a sneaky team this year. They're gonna beat someone, and they're gonna have, even if it's not an upset, they're gonna beat a team that's got a little more recognition out there right now. I think.
I would love to see Russell get a ring and James Harden and all them.
I'd love to see all of them get a ring. Obviously, like we've all grown up and watched them. Russ and the Thunder, James Harden putting up MVP numbers for the Rockets. I'm gonna go with the Clippers here. I think that like they could be one of America's teams to watch just because they have so much star power that haven't really won rings. Paul George as well. He hasn't won a ring. I forget who coaches them though. I'm really blanking.
I have no
The guy
idea.
who coaches them. Oh, Tyronn Lue, who coached the Cavs. I just like the team top to bottom. They're a fun team to watch, especially, I like what James Harden's doing, kind of being the more passer instead of being the scorer. So I'll take the Clips in this one. I think that's our only sweep of the day, which
Yeah, that is.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but
I guess we all sweep South Carolina for women's basketball too.
we did as well.
It's hard not
free agent.
to sweep that one though.
I mean, we did sweep the NFL NBA All-Star game as well, but that's kind of like
That doesn't count.
everyone kind of had the
That
same
doesn't
idea.
count.
Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of The Extra Point. Nice quick one. Thank you guys all for watching. Special thanks to Tigervision, Connor in the back. He's always doing this. We love him for that. But until next week, that's going to be us, Griffin Barfield, RJ Polite, Toby Corson. We'll see you guys next week. See ya.